I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has council had a chance to look over the minutes from our last meeting? And if so, what action would you like to take?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Motion by Rick, second by Robin to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Agenda. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
Nope. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried. Guest and open forum. Do we have any speakers that we? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium. State your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Brett Collier. I'm Big Lake Township, 22549 172nd Street Northwest. I'm here today to talk about election integrity, specifically voting machines. On April 19th, I and a number of citizens spoke at the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners during their open forum in regards to voter integrity and the use of the county's Dominion counting machines. As normal, this board meeting was recorded and can be viewed on YouTube, and the links to the video and so forth are in these handouts that I'll give you. There are numerous reasons why we should no longer use these voting machines. Just a few are: these electronic voting machines, which were purchased in Sherburne County in 2015, run on Windows 7 Server 2008 operating system. Microsoft ended support of Windows 7 on January 2020. This means that there have been no security or maintenance updates or patches made available for this operating system in years, increasing the possibility of an unwanted accessing and manipulation of code within these machines, creating doubt as to their accuracy and ability to provide a true vote count. Could these current machines be upgraded? It's my understanding that it would be difficult, as the hardware is not sufficient to handle a Windows 10 upgrade because of the available memory. And even so, recertification would cost over $500,000. Two, since the 2020 election, the general public, based upon numerous reports and articles, is wary of and has lost faith in the electronics, especially Dominion voting equipment. Three, it has been reported that Dominion voting system equipment is designed to be capable of giving a weight to votes cast, if not simply adjusting the numbers of votes per candidate. There are simply too many unanswered questions in regards to the security, reliability, and accuracy of these machines to allow them to be used again. During the April 19th Sherburne County Open Forum, a resolution was presented for their consideration, resolving to suspend the Dominion Democracy Suite version 4.14E voting equipment for the 2022 season. The county has the authority to authorize or not authorize the use of an electronic voting system per Minnesota Statute 206.58 Subdivision 3. We hope that the county will do this, but in the event they don't, that same statute, subsections 1 and 4, allows for you, the city, the township, to not use electronic voting equipment. The statute says that you may use equipment, which means that you also may not. Based upon what we now know and don't know, I suggest and request that you people resolve to not utilize any electronic voting equipment in the 2022 season. Again, in the handout, I provided a draft of a resolution that you can use to go towards that means. While I'm here tonight presenting this argument to you, a number of similar arguments have been given to other municipalities in the county. So let's get out ahead of this now and move not to use the Dominion equipment in 2022. A hand count of our ballots will remove any concern over the accuracy, reliability, trustworthiness of an electronic system. Earlier today, we had a rally at the Sherburne County Government Center. We had speakers. That video will be put online so that you can hear what people have to say. There was one city mayor that showed up. I can't remember which city it was, but he says he's moving to not use, to go back to hand counting this season. So that will be in there. If someone gives me a good email, I will email you electronic copies of the handouts as well. That way you can click on the links instead of type all those words and letters in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have the software version on the handout that you're gonna hand out there? The version that you read there, the Dominion Democracy Forward.
The thing is they're discontinuing Windows 10 now too. We typically don't respond to these, but it does raise some questions. I guess I'd like to look at the documents and then we can discuss it at a later date, because we typically don't respond to.
Yeah, I put a lot of detail into these because I knew I can't speak too much.
I'll take it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there an email or something?
Well, all of our email addresses are on our website, so.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a general one, but I can use the website and do that then.
Yeah, you can find it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? If not, then we'll move to committee reports, starting budget and finance.
Budget and Finance met on April 21st. We reviewed all the financials. We did note that we are seeing increased energy costs affecting all of our departments. We talked about golf. Golf is still trending in the right direction. Memberships are up at the BCC. Let's see. Potential grant anticipation funding update. We talked about when the payments were being submitted, or the pay requests were being submitted, and how quick they were turning around. And we were forecasting the spend for the project number 2. Past due utilities are trending upwards, so we discussed the shut-off process. AR invoices are all current. We discussed excess liability coverage for the city, and we suggested that we get it put on the budget proposal for next year. And we talked about the fire alarm replacement at Pebble Creek. That repair is being done now, and we will use the 2023 CIP to reimburse the spend that we're spending now.
Okay, Planning Commission.
Planning Commission, we met Monday, April 25th. Going to be quick on the notes here because the items are on our agenda tonight. We had a public hearing for the Sherco First Edition preliminary and final plat. Had a public hearing for the Chapter 11 fence code edits, and we had some discussion on Prairie Village Homes. As you recall, in the meeting before that, we had a quite lengthy discussion, and Planning Commission had some additional questions that came up at that meeting and then afterwards too. And so we had asked staff to report or go research on some of those, and so so staff had reported back with those at the meeting that night. We didn't have a long discussion, but it was just more or less, here was the questions we had, and staff had reported back on that. So that's all I got.
Joint Planning Board?
Joint Planning met a week ago tonight. Dates are beyond me right now. We discussed a preliminary and plat resolution, or preliminary and final plat resolution for a township property, and we discussed the home-based business ordinance and made some edits and got that approved.
Okay, that looks like about it. Board committee and consultants.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Mark Ebensteiner, the Finance Director with the city. I'm here to present the 2021 Annual Financial Report and Audit. So within the RCA, we had a resolution as well as the financial report and the communications letter. So a little bit of background. The city annually prepares a financial report, and based on statute, they're required to be audited. So Bergen KDV had completed our audit, did some prelim work in January, some field work at the end of March, and recently had completed and finalized the audit. We had discussed a budget finance this last meeting where Ms. Schulzenberg, the partner on the audit, had came and went through the high-level details and answered any questions. at that point. So with that, I have Mr. Opatz here from Bergen KDV. He'll present on the communication letter and some of the financial aspects of that. And then I'll wrap up and look for a motion to adopt the resolution to approve the 2021 report and audit. So with that, I'll introduce Mr. Opatz.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, sweet.
Thank you.
So I'm Dustin Opatz. I'm an audit supervisor with Bergen KDV and here to present the 2021 audit. If you have any questions as I'm going through the presentation, feel free to stop me. I get pretty passionate about government finance. I'll just rip, like everybody, right? So I'll just keep going until someone stops me.
Makes one of us.
So yeah, either interrupt me, otherwise we can catch your questions at the end too. I'm good either way. So I wanted to start with, you should have two documents in front of you or in the PDFs. So the thicker book or the longer report is the independent auditor's report. And the only thing I wanted to touch on were the reports that we give an opinion on in those financial statements. And so the very first one is the independent auditor's report. It states that you as management are responsible for the preparation of the financial statements, and it's our responsibility as your auditors to audit those financial statements and express an opinion on them. And so we do express an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion we are allowed to give as your auditors. It provides assurance that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The second report we look at is called the Government Auditing Standards Report. So because of the city's level of grants, we do have to look a little bit closer at your compliance with laws, contracts, grant agreements, that sort of thing. And we did not have any internal control findings related to that test work or any compliance findings related to that test work. So all good there. The last report I wanted to touch on is the Minnesota Legal Compliance Report. So the Office of the State Auditor issues several checklists that we are required to check compliance with, specific state statutes, and we had no findings related to that test work. So the rest of this presentation will kind of focus on that second smaller document, which is kind of the high-level financial analysis, 5-year trend information, all that good stuff. So we'll start with the general fund balance. Fund balance for the general fund increased about $200,000, and almost that entire balance in there is unassigned. And so it's available for your spending on any city purpose. So we'll kind of dig into the components of fund balance as far as like what drove that increase this year. So we'll start with revenues. Revenues did decrease slightly this year. And so there were a couple components of that. So taxes and assessments actually increased a little bit due to an increase in the levy as well as receiving some unexpected special assessment revenue. And so that increase was offset by a decrease in intergovernmental because you had that large CARES grant last year that did not repeat itself this year. And so you had a corresponding decrease. Comparing revenues budget to actual. So taxes and assessments were over budget related to that special assessment that was unanticipated that ended up coming in. And then intergovernmental revenues were over budget as well due to receiving some small city assistance grants that weren't budgeted for. And then charges for services were slightly over budget as well just due to conservative budgeting. So this looks at your general fund revenues by source. And so you can see the percentages on the bottom there. 2020 was kind of an outlier because of that CARES funding. And so you can see that the intergovernmental revenue was up at 12% when, normally it was anywhere between 5 and 7. And then that had a corresponding decrease in taxes and assessments. So 2021 was kind of more of a normal year because you didn't receive that large influx of government money. And so, it's more consistent with what you saw from 2017 to 2019 as far as allocation. On to expenditures. So expenditures were up slightly in 2021. Looking at budget to actual, so general government expenditures were over budget due to an IT position that wasn't fully budgeted for. And then public safety was over budget due to hiring additional staff. And then public works was under budget due to some street projects that ended up not happening in 2021. Looking at expenditures by function. So this was pretty consistent year over year. Nothing really worth talking about here. Pretty consistent spending for the last 5 years. Now looking at your water fund, operating revenues and expenses were pretty consistent year over year. And then, so the second line from the bottom is your operating income loss. And so that includes all your expenses, including depreciation. And so you can see for the last 4 years, the water fund had a positive operating income. And then that line below it is we take out depreciation. So depreciation is a non-cash expense. It's nothing you'll ever have to write a check for, but it does represent the city's capital replacement costs. So if you have to replace a water line, if you have to replace some of those capital assets, this kind of it represents essentially if the city can do that from reserves or if you'll have to find some other source to do it, whether it be bonding, grants, transfers in from other funds, things like that. So the last 4 years, the water fund has covered its capital replacement costs. And so just something to keep an eye on. So this next slide looks at the sewer fund. So operating revenues decreased due to fewer SAC fees as well as future late fees. And operating expenses were pretty consistent. And so looking at that second to last line again, you can see that the last 5 years, there has been an operating loss when you factor in depreciation. And so essentially the sewer fund is not covering all its capital replacement costs. So when you do have to replace some of those assets in the future, it'll just be trying to find the additional funding sources for them. And so just something to monitor and keep an eye on as you're evaluating utility rates. This slide looks at tax capacity, levy, and rates. And so the green line at the top is your tax capacity, and you can see that that went up this year with the increase in market values. And then the blue line, which is the bottom line, is your tax levy. And so you can see that also went up this year. And so when you look at the percentage increase in capacity versus the percentage increase in levy, your levy was increased slightly faster than your capacity, so your tax capacity rate did increase slightly this year to 42.5%. That's all I got. Do you have any questions for me?
Unfortunately, I don't. Because you finished with the 42.5%, and that's what we were looking at when we were doing our budget. So I mean,
Sure.
You're saying exactly what we were anticipating we were doing. So,
Perfect.
do you have any questions for him?
No.
This is our second pass through it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin. Without any other questions, I would look for a motion and a second to adopt and approve Resolution 2022-25, adopting the annual financial report for the year ended December 31st, 2021.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 22-25, adopting the annual financial report for the year ending 12/31/21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for resolution 22-25. Any other questions or comments? Not, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, Circle First Edition.
Thank you, Council. I have before you today the preliminary and final plat applications for a plat to be known as Sherco First Edition. The applicant, Northern States Power Company, has presented the City of Becker with complete applications, both preliminary and final. And the purpose of this plat is for the dedication of public right-of-way to accommodate future public infrastructure improvements. The Planning Commission reviewed this with a recommending approval on both the preliminary and final plat applications. As a note, the legal description from the Planning Commission resolutions is slightly different than the legal description that you see today before you in your resolutions. It was due to a technical error. It was caught by the county surveyor, so that's been updated between Planning Commission and now. Otherwise, I'm happy to go over the resolutions if there's any questions. And staff is ultimately seeking a motion and a second for resolutions 2022-2020. 23 and 2022-24 for the preliminary and final plat applications for Sherco First Edition.
If anybody's ever seen a legal description of a property for somebody to catch that, that's like next level nerd there, that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Well, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-23, approving the preliminary plat for Sherco First Edition.
Second.
We have a motion by Rick, second by Robin for resolution 22-23, Sherco First Edition. Any questions or discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-24, approving the final plat application for the Sherco First Edition.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Rick, second by Robin. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Chapter 11 Code Amendments. Jacob.
Thank you, Council. I promise I won't present another audit for you. You wouldn't want me to present that anyway. Before you have a two ordinance, so an ordinance second series and then a summary. So over the last few months, we've done a little bit of, at Planning Commission's direction, done a little bit of analysis and digging on through lots and ensuring that the fences along some of these major roads where these through lots exist can actually put up 6-foot high fences rather than just a 4 due to their proximity to highly used corridors. The language that is in here, and you'll notice one of the exhibits in there that shows you in the green where these lots conglomerate or are conglomerated along these major corridors. And this language will actually allow these, again, to go up to 6 feet, 3 feet back from the edge of the trail. Later on, we'll approach, we'll take a look at the corner lots along these same ones, but due to some of the more complex nature of corner lots, we want to do a little more digging into functional classification and ensure we have the evidence we need to put this language into into the code. Planning Commission reviewed it. We didn't have any public comment at that time. I think we had hashed it out fairly well for a while. And they approved on the 25th. So we're seeking for a motion and a second to approve Ordinance 253 second series, revising 11.21 subdivision, and subdivision 14, and a motion and a second to approve 253 second series summary for publication. The language you'll see is just on the second page of that ordinance under number 4. So it lays out in detail the exact roads and where you can permit those. And any questions on any of that?
I don't have any questions, but we did discuss the roads and the reasons for them at the meeting, and it, I think staff did an exceptional job on this.
Thank you. One minor change that is found to the ordinance would just be at the very end with the date. It says adopted, which will be adopted the 3rd of May, or it says April, so it'll be changed to May. So just to note if you saw that.
So does council wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 253 second series, revising section 11.21 subdivision 14 of chapter 11 in the city code.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Robin, second by Rick. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
I'll make a motion then to approve ordinance 253 second series summary for publication.
I'll second that as well.
We have a motion for publication by Robin, second by Rick. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pebble Creek garbage enclosure. It's got to be moved, I believe, doesn't it?
Good afternoon, Council. So at Pebble Creek, by the kitchen, we have a wooden enclosure that houses our recycling and dumpsters. In February, we had a period of really high winds that ripped the doors off and did some pretty substantial damage. So for what we're looking for tonight is approval to fund the repair project out of the revolving capital fund that the city has. Since the quote, we've received two quotes, but the one we're recommending is from Lincoln Builders in the amount of $5,800. Being that amount does not meet our insurance deductible, staff thought this was a good example of a project that could be funded by this revolving insurance fund that the city has built up. So not a whole lot to the project, but we're looking for a motion in a second to authorize staff to engage Lincoln Builders to rebuild the structure in an amount not to exceed $6,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Were you gonna move it a little bit too, or not?
Yeah, we did use this opportunity to build it so it doesn't have the same size footprint. It's a smaller size, but we're able to angle the dumpsters in a way that is beneficial to the parking that's going to be done,
What I was getting at was.
and also better access for the garbage trucks to enter and receive that material.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Make a motion to authorize staff to engage Lincoln Builders to rebuild the structure, not to exceed $6,000.
Second?
Good motion by Rick, second by Robin. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Administrator and staff reports.
Good evening, members of council. Tonight we have before you RCA for asking you to call for a public hearing for the certification of snow removal charges from our winter snow plowing season. In the RCA itself, we list the dates of the snow plowing events. To this date, we have 19 properties that have not paid for the services that we did following clearing sidewalks that were not done within the required time frame. So tonight, I'm asking for a motion and a second to call for a public hearing to be held on May 17th at approximately 5 p.m. to consider the assessment of these unpaid snow removal charges. And I can answer any questions if you have any.
Just a question, if I was one of those 19 people, can I contact someplace between now and then?
Yep, you can contact Sarah at Public Works and she can take care of it, or you can contact City Hall too, so either place.
So you didn't shovel your sidewalk, huh?
I didn't say it was me. I just said if
Just
I was one of them.
general question,
It's like
right?
getting arrested for burning pine needles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're back to those felonies, huh? Well, I guess that makes everybody a felon.
In case somebody was burning their pine needles,
Yes.
air quotes.
On the sidewalk.
Hypothetically.
Yes, hypothetically speaking.
I'll make a motion to call for a public hearing May 17th at approximately 5 p.m. to consider the assessment of unpaid snow removal charges.
I'll second.
Motion by Robin, second by Rick. Any other questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Supplemental Letter Agreement for SEH.
Good evening, council. Tonight, we're looking at a supplemental letter agreement with SEH for project number 4 of the phase 1 of the business park expansion. It is basically a water main to loop the system on the west side of town across underneath Highway 10, connecting over at Edgewood. So since this service is not covered in our master agreement with SEH, the supplemental letter is needed. So again, like I said, this is the project number 4. We've gone through this before. This is all part of the state bonding. This project, the engineering portion of it is covered by a CET grant that we have. So the reason we're here tonight, and not that Randy's looking for something to do, but we have a timeline on the dollars trying to get these put in place. So with that, it's pretty basic. I'll say, Randy, plug yours. It's the easiest of the 4 projects, or the least complicated. Is
You know,
probably
you just made that real difficult now.
Yeah.
They're gonna hit a rock going on that thing.
Well, we do have Highway 10.
And he's gonna find an easement snag someplace.
Yes. Well, Randy's just set the bar so high, so we felt this one was easily in his wheelhouse. But again, there's been a lot of work that's been done over the last 18 months trying to get these projects all put together because the timeline's put out there by the state. But SEH has done a really good job working with us, and we're excited to put this final phase in place as well. So with that, I would look for a motion or approval on Resolution 22-26, or I'll answer any other questions that you might have.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2226, Supplemental Letter Agreement with SEH for 22 Business Park, Grant Project number 2.
Second?
We have a motion by Rick, second by Robin. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? The motion is carried.
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Okay, I've got 7 items for the consent agenda this evening. Starting with number 1, the hiring and termination report for Becker Community Center and Pebble Creek Golf Club. Those are attached for your review under the revised consent agenda. Also, a donation acceptance from the Becker Lions Club and Becker Township, Resolution 22-22. The Lions Club's donating $3,500 for Freedom Day fireworks. And Becker Township, it's $16,500 annual donation for the community center and Freedom Days. Third one is the Jeff O'Neill contract extension. That is a short extension enabling me to assist with the orientation for the new city administrator. Also, number 4, authorization to post opening of the community development director position. As you know, Marie Flipson is looking at a new position. We'll miss her greatly, but we have to gear up for a new person in that position. The schedule's outlined for you there. It looks like the hire date, we're shooting for June 7th, and we're certain that the city council will be involved in that process as we move forward on that. Number 5, the 2022-2023 property casualty insurance renewal, total premium of $145,402, and that is up 18.66% from 2021. Number 6, Marty Lefebvre farm lease agreement on the 212 acres that the city recently purchased, and that is just simple agreement that's consistent with other agreements we've had with other farmers on leasing city properties for agriculture, and that's pending successful closing of the land sale to the city. Last item on the consent agenda, new credit card payment processor agreement at Pebble Creek. Pretty good deal. Resulted in annual savings of about $7,000 over 12 months. That's it for the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
We have a motion by Rick, second by Robin to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or concerns? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second?
Motion by Robin, second by Rick. Pay the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Anniversary announcements. Looks like we got 3 of them here. I can't believe we've had Phil working for us for 3 years already. Phil Knudsen, 3 years. Congratulations. Christine Hines, 4 years, administrative support. And Derek Rhodes, 1 year, maintenance worker. And I would also like to take this time to congratulate Marie on her new position. We definitely will miss you here. Personally, I've had the pleasure of working with you. And it's gonna be hard to find somebody to replace her. She's really developed into a good person for that position. I hate to see you leave, but can't hold you back. Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, that's just good. Thank you for your service to the city. I mean, I was looking around. It's like, maybe Julia. I think most of us started here after Marie. And Marie's been here a while. Started in the community development department, and then eventually went on to direct it. And we've done a lot of projects, a lot of work. I've been on EDA the whole time, so planning commission most of the time. So I've got to work with Marie and her department for just your whole time here. So congratulations, you deserve it, and thank you for your service to the city.
And we wish you well, by all means. So, anything else for the betterment of the community? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.